Thank you, Rabbi Max, for those very, very touching words. Bershus, Maran V'Rabbanan, the Rosh HaYeshiva Shlita, my father, Avi Mori Shlita, the Anhala, of course, the esteemed Anhala, my fellow Musmachim, all the other Rabbanim sitting over here with us tonight. It is so incredible for me to be here tonight and talk to the yeshiva in this momentous occasion. It's now the whole Shabbos was so beautiful, so special. Such simcha, seeing parents rejoicing with their children, grandparents and families and simchas and musmachim. Such an incredible thing, such an incredible turnout. At this point, I'd like to give a big yasher koach to everyone involved, Rabbi Rafi Adler, Rabbi Yehuda Din, Rabbi Akiva Spingarn, and of course, Mrs. Schoenfeld and the whole entire office staff who is constantly involved in everything the yeshiva does. Thank you so much. You know, with all the simcha, as we say in every single chuppah that we're in, every single wedding in Lo'aleh, right, as Yerushalayim al Rosh Simchaseinu. With all the happiness we, as Rabbi Max alluded to before, and the Rosh Hashivas alluded to in the drashos today, we all remember Yerushalayim and Eretz Yisrael at whatever time that we're in. And I wanted tonight to talk a little bit about the matzav in Eretz Yisrael, connected to Chanukah, which is coming up soon, and somehow, b'siyata d'shmaya, connected to the Chag Semicha. Okay, so we have an agenda. So a few weeks ago, my family and I had the privilege to spend the Yom Tovim in Eretz Yisrael. Now, as you all know, the Yom Tovim in Eretz Yisrael are always a blast, right? I could definitely say that this time it ended off in a bang, right? I remember it clearly. I remember we were in Yerushalayim, walking from our apartment towards yeshiva. It was Shmini Atzeres. We wanted to have a minyan that has the stuff from Bnei Chutz La'aretz. And on the way to yeshiva, all of a sudden I hear this noise. I'm like, what is this noise? It must have been 8 o'clock in the morning. What is this noise? And all of a sudden I'm filled with memories from like the good old yeshiva days in Eretz Yisrael. It's amazing how everything, even an air raid siren that reminds you of yeshiva can be so sweet. It's just such a chiddush. And I think is really yeshiva is really it's the sweetest thing in the world. You're growing, you're learning, you're chaverim, you're abeim. There are challenges. Don't get me wrong. It's not always so easy. It's like that time that you try to get a chavrusa for next Elul, but find out he was reserved 2 Hanukkahs ago. You know? And you're like, I'm never ever talking to that guy again. But then the next day, as you walk into the base medrash, you see that very guy unloading a whole pile of svarim from the previous Masechta right on your table. And you're like, I have to say something. And because we're a Musar yeshiva, and midos is a thing where we come from, you talk to the guy, and everything is good. But there are challenges. It's not always so easy. And okay, the thing starts, rockets, and unfortunately the news that we heard coming from around Gaza, etc. And everyone's asking, what do we do? How do you deal with such an enemy? And there's so many opinions. And all the news outlets, people are talking about, and I'm telling you guys, I heard everything. People are saying to nuke Gaza, which isn't even possible. People are saying to give them humanitarian aid on the other end. People are saying, I think we should actually go ahead and have a Jewish establishment there and start a branch over there. No, I was speaking to Rabbi Tolmasov and Rabbi Baivta. I think we could even start 2 branches over there. We'll talk about that. Rabbi Chain is already Rabbi Girl, that I hope that the only...
I think some people are ready to leave where they are.
But really, my bracha is if that were the only problem we should ever have from Gaza is that one branch is taking Talmidim from the other feeder from the other country. That's the only problem we should have from Gaza. But until then, what do? How do we deal with such a situation? So we have a Masorah. Im lo tedilach hayafa benashim tzilach beikvei atzon. As Shlomo Melech says in Shir Shirim, Rashi says, when we don't know what to do, tzilach beikvei atzon. See, what did our forefathers do? So what did our forefathers do when we had war? What did they do? I found an incredible Rav Elchanan Wasserman, who's no new person to war. That man has seen World War I, he saw war straight in the eye. He went back to view this Talmud. That man wasn't afraid. That Rabbi wasn't afraid of war. He has an essay titled Omer Ani Masai L'Melech, in which he has a whole discourse explaining two different wars that Am Yisrael fought, and I want to talk about that tonight. Two different wars, the war of Hanukkah and the war of Purim. And he asks a very interesting observation that he makes. And he says, how come in the war of Hanukkah, the way Am Yisrael fought was war? The Chashmonaim got together, they said, we're not going to take this, we're going to fight this battle. What happened? It's fine. But on Purim, we have the exact opposite. Another shmad, another war that we had. And what was the protocol? What was the strategy that we used? Leich knosas kol Yehudim. Daven, tshuva, get together, work on yourself, fast. And Rabbi Chanan asks, what's the difference? So he brings in a levush. The levush says a chiluk. He says, by Hanukkah it was a war on the nefesh, right? Kisvu al-chem al-shar, al-karen shar. And on Purim, it was a war on the guf. But Rav Elchanan asks, there's the ancient Bukharian phrase. It says, achiluk, was nach nit achiluk, heist nitken chiluk. My carbon daters tell me that it resurfaced in Rabbi Grumbat's shir. But what's the difference that makes for? Or has Shlomo says, red wheels, blue wheels. What's the difference that makes for a difference over here? And he explains something fascinating. I'm going to read it inside because it's so nice. He says that when we have shmad in the world, I'm quoting, "V'nimtza sheyeshnam shnei minei hanhagos." One, Maaseh Hashem, and two, Maaseh Satan. So there's Maaseh Hashem and Maaseh Satan. And he explains. V'chein ha'gzeros al Yisrael hein b'shnei ha'ofanim. U'b'chol gzera tzarech lehavchin me'eze ofen hu. We have to see which paradigm does this gzera fall into. V'simena ha'bechina she'im. Ha'gzera hi al ha'gufos k'bei me'haman. If the war is on the guf, Zohi Maaseh Hashem. That is Maaseh Hashem. What does that mean? V'tachlisa hi lahachzirenu lemutav. To bring us back to Hashem. To bring us back to do tshuva. V'gdol ha'saras ha'tabas. Just as we say, gdol ha'saras ha'tabas, that made the whole entire change in Klal Yisrael than anything else. U'ba'ofen zeh ein makom l'milchama. War is not going to help. V'hilo titzlach. It's going to be totally worthless. Aval ima gzer hi ala nefashos. It's to change us from our Yiddishkeit. V'tachlisa hi la'abir Yisrael al datan v'lo lahachzir l'mutav ein ze Maaseh Hashem. That is not the Maaseh Hashem, ki im Maaseh Satan. That's the Maaseh Satan. That's the Satan coming to go ahead and take us away from Hashem. It's the other extreme. It's a different paradigm, taking us away from Hashem. U'kdei lahachlish koach hasatum darash Yisrael yimsuru atzma l'hariga b'milchama mamish. You have to go to war. You have to wage war against the Satan. And that's how he explains Hanukkah and Purim. And he continues explaining the difference between Germany, the atrocities, the shmat that Germany has caused to us, versus Russia, what has Russia caused, which was also, one was nefesh and one was guf. Two different things, and that is how he compares the two. So, Rabbi said, Yotzim is that this war with Hamas is what? Is it Hanukkah or Purim?
Purim.
Oh, Baruch Hashem, Purim. Thank you. It's a war of Purim, and that's what it seems like. And based on Rav Elchanan, the way to combat this war is not through carpet bombing, and not through atom bombs, and it's not even Sahal. It's not never again. The way to combat this war is tshuva, is learning. It's being leichnosis kol Yehudim, being meuchad, being together, working on ourselves. That's the way to combat this war. This whole idea of never again is, who decided never again? Someone in the army? Never again? No, you could determine never again. Haraya again. Well, what determines never again? Never again is what we, leichnosis kol Yehudim, that determines never again. Okay, good. So Baruch Hashem, we figured out the solution. Rav Elchanan taught us we could go home. Baruch Hashem, we figured it out. We'll come to morning Seder on time tomorrow, and maybe the next day, and we'll get inspired. Okay. Or Rabbi say, I think that's only a fraction of the answer. Because really, there's another war going on. A war that was waged long, long ago. But in the past few years, has been raging on the Torah, on Hashem, on Am Yisrael. A war that, if you look at the war in Gaza, it pales to comparison to the amount of lives that war has already collected from us Eden. And that is the war of radical left and liberal hashkafos that have been plaguing our society. I don't want to go into too much details because it's not the point of it, but Rabbi say, you know that back then, kochi ve'otzim yadi was a term that was referred to when we spoke about money, power, wealth. Kochi ve'otzim yadi means something very different these days. These days, kochi ve'otzim yadi talks about identity, life, marriage, home, the concept of life itself. It's crazy. And the problem is that it's not just that it's there, but really, in the past couple of years, correct me if I'm wrong, it has become a norm. I was speaking to a school psychologist a few weeks ago. He was telling me that these things are norms in public schools. They're norms. It's not like a thing that you hear about or read about on the news. It's not something that exists somewhere else. It's over here. It's in Eretz Yisrael. It's everywhere. You know, is anyone surprised anymore when this happens to me a lot? You get a phone call from the bank or whatever, they ask you, okay, so your name is Plony. How would you like to be addressed? No one's surprised about that. I don't care. To me, it's like a normal thing already. How would you like to be addressed? Like a man. How would you like to be addressed? It became a normal thing. And unfortunately, this war is more and more pervasive, more and more out there in ways that it has never been before. And it came to a point where it's a shmat against Hashem, right? There was legislature that wanted to be passed a few months ago by some crazy lawmaker who wanted to go ahead and suggest that a baby that survives an abortion, the doctors don't have to go ahead and let live after. I'm saying it's a war against Hashem. It's about the Torah. It's about everything that Hashem holds on to when he created the world. How do you fight this battle? Okay, so Rav Elchanan told us it's a battle on the nefesh. You got to go to war. But how do you go to war? Who's your enemy? Back then there was Antiochus. We fought. We had a war. Who are you fighting now? Now it permeated to the culture in society. What's politically correct? What's accepted? What are you not allowed to say? What are you allowed to say? What are you not allowed to say? How do you deal with that? Rav Elchanan is mityachas to this also when he talks about the war, and talks about Russia and stuff. But l'chora, and he says the way to combat this war is through one way and one way only. That is spreading the light of Torah to our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters around the world. That is the only way to fight this war, and it's a thing that requires a fight. Fasting and davening is not going to help. Leichnosis kol Yehudim is not going to help. You need to fight this battle. How do you fight it? You report to duty. You report to duty to the army of Hashem. I'm going to spread Hashem's Torah. I'm going out there. I'm going to spread that light to everywhere I could. And that is the way to go ahead and combat this silent war that has done so much more damage than any of the others. I want you to think about this for a moment. One of the things that Hamas, Yimach Shemam, have done in Gaza was they went ahead and they kidnapped children. They kidnapped children. Imagine the feeling. Imagine, to take it out of the article for a second, to have a child being taken away, abducted from his parents, growing up in Gaza. Imagine what any parent feels, what kind of pain that would be. What kind of pain? Who knows what's going to be with their child? Might turn into a terrorist one day? Imagine the pain. And now let's think about Hashem's pain for a second, of his children that were captured. His tinokos shenishbu, not to Gaza, but to the Satan, to the Sitra Achra. The pain that Hashem must feel by every single one of his children who have left him, who don't know Hashem. They don't know Shema Yisrael. They don't know that Hashem exists. They don't know Shabbos. They don't know the beauty of the Torah. They just know this secular way of life that's being, unfortunately, progressing in a terrible direction. Imagine the pain that Hashem feels. And what about the Simcha? A few weeks ago, Israel recaptured one of their soldiers. Tremendous Simcha. Everyone felt, we got a soldier back. We got someone back. Imagine the Simcha that Hashem feels every time one of his children come back to him. What kind of Simcha is for Hashem? Oh, another one of my boys, another one of my girls, another one's back, another one from this area in the world, from that area in the world. And that is exactly what we're celebrating here tonight. That is exactly what the Chag of Semicha is all about. Bringing back those neshamos that were taken hostage from the Satan, taken hostage from this way of life that is contrary to the dogmas of the Torah. That's what we're celebrating here tonight. That's what the yeshivas raison d'etre of Rabba's Torah, that's what the yeshiva for the past 9 decades have been doing. And almost a century, when the yeshiva's main focus was, how do we battle this battle? Is what the Rosh Yeshiva was mikabel from his father, from his Rabbi, and so on and so forth. Of how do we go ahead and bring those children back to Hashem? And on behalf of all the musmachim, we really wanted to thank the yeshiva, the Anhala, the Rosh Yeshiva, for giving us, for investing within us, kochos, time, energy, resources, everything. On behalf of all my chaverim, I really wanted to give a heartfelt yasher koch to the Anhala, to the Rosh Yeshiva. Thank you. We appreciate it. We look up to you. We want to give you nachas from us. That's what we want the Rabbeim to have from us. To my fellow musmachim, heroes out there, you guys are, I can't speak for myself, all 18 of you. You guys are the Sayeret Matkal. You guys are our special forces. Hatzlacha Rabbah and everything. Continue. The way we celebrate Hanukkah is not through the war, we celebrate it through the lighting of the candles. As the Rosh Rabbi Harris said earlier on today, last night, you be those candles. You light those candles. You continue with that light. B'chol makom shehem, continue. In whatever you do, Hashem should give you paramount success in everything you do. Lahagdil Torah la'adira. And finally, to my dear Bnei Yeshiva, my message for you tonight is chizku v'imtzu. It is upon you right now to continue your report to duty. You're in that stage when you're learning right now, you're steiging, you're growing. It's an incredible thing. There are times, as I said before, there are difficulties, but Rabbi David Shade used to talk about in Eretz Yisrael, NSS. Right? You're going through a sugya, you're learning it, and at the moment you start to get next sugya syndrome. Don't worry about it. It's very normal, it's common. Just hold on. Learn a little more. Go over the assembly line. Review it again. Chapa Rebbe, Chapa Shalom Eshiv, Chapa Kolan Guy, Chapa anyone that you could. It's there for the taking. The Anhala, they spent countless of hours and they don't charge anyone any money for it. They just give from their time they just give it to us. Don't worry. Just do it. Yes, it's long. Yes, it's hard. But you should know that the amount of effort you put in goes directly hand in hand to the ability you will have to be a mashpia in Klal Yisrael. And that extra step that extra chiddush, that extra step in a pilpul shir, that extra step in a chabura, that extra havana in a Musar Seder, in a Musar Shmuz, that has a direct correlation to your ability to be mashpia. And if you're not going to do it, no one's going to hold you accountable for it. But the loss is going to be for Klal Yisrael. And therefore, you have opportunities, go for them. Think of tachbulos, to get close to Rabbi, and to work on yourselves, to grow, to steig, to learn. You have ideas, rock them, go for them. It's all for the taking, it's all for you. It passes by so quickly. It goes by, you don't even realize how quick it goes by. So take advantage of it. Chaparayim, come in. That is right now your call of duty. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we should be zochet to see a day of Hashem Melaveh Hashem Echad. Thank you so much.